The Lord led us to go to a restricted nation and hostile nation. And I went with two other girls with me. We visited 3 different cities, but in the last city was the biggest thing happened. I knew the city is pretty high, mountains, but I didn't know was that high. When I got to the airport, I began to feel like, oh, it's a heavy to walk here. So, but I keep going. My friends pick us up and begin to drive up and up and up to the mountain. And my ears begin to pop here, pop there. And I said, what? The place we're gonna stay is in the highest mountain in that city. Kind of almost 10,000 feet high. It's a house out there. We're gonna stay, gonna host us. Being there was like a difficult moment physically for me because I began to feel the sickness of the altitude. And then I share with my friends, I'm not feeling well here, but I keep doing what we were about to do, meet with different teams and share and pray and minister. I think the 3rd day, I couldn't handle it physically. So they brought me down 2,000 feet for another friend's house, but then got worse because I was really affected. In the midst of all, I had an encounter with God. He just marked my heart in 2 different ways. I was like, Lord, what is going on? What are you doing with this moment? I felt the oppression, I felt physically, I felt spiritually, but then the Lord really marked my heart. He said, I am bringing you to feel a burden of my heart for my people here. And I said, wow, Lord, this is really strong. Later, I had this experience of like a balm and a peace come upon me. But in the morning, I wake up with a phrase in my mind and my spirit, like, they are taskmasters. And this was repeatedly. And then the Lord gave me discernment of spirit in that moment. And I said, oh, you are talking about what is governing spiritually in this country. But then I pray about that. But I end up in the hospital. And this was another amazing experience. And they said, oh, you have the diagnosis, you have ammonia. Say, yeah, you need to stay 3 days in the hospital. I went to the hospital, and the next day is our flight back to America. And then being there, I said, Lord, I can't stay. I have to go back. But in that moment, I felt, okay, it's a moment of decision, and I need wisdom and revelation from the Lord. I talked with my team, my friends, and my son, and we all heard what the doctor says, and the doctor was amazing. They bring a cardiologist, a pulmonologist, and all the people come to do the test, and they didn't find out a lot of things, but just about the lungs. And I tell the doctor, I'm sorry, but I have to go back home. You can't go. It's impossible. You're going to grasp for air in the airplane. And I felt from the Lord peace, and I make a decision to fly next day. I said, doctor, I'm going to stay 24 hours in the ER and receive all the treatment, and you give me the medicine, and I'm going to go back. He said, yes, your responsibility. And I said, yes, it's my responsibility. But I knew it's God's responsibility as well, because I was in agreement with what He placed in my heart to just come home. So I did that. The funny part was I left the hospital, and I prepared myself, and then I said, Lord, I need the wisdom on what I do, because I cannot spend a lot of time physically, because my strength was weak. The Lord gave me an idea, okay, go and use all the wheelchair in the airports. And I said, oh my goodness, this is going to be an adventure. I thought, no, but literally was an adventure, because in that country, in the airport, when we first it was a tiny young man carrying on the wheelchair, and I am a big women. And I said, Lord, give them grace to push me. So, and was interesting. But then the first airport was a small flight. We get to the capital of that nation, and was like, oh, you cannot go because you have to require 372 hours previous your trip. You need oxygen. And I said, but I didn't know 3 days ago I'm gonna need oxygen. How am I gonna require like that? Was like, doesn't make sense. But he bring me apart to the airport, and medical doctors, and they did tests and put things to check my blood pressure and everything, asking me questions. I just answered and said, yeah, you can go. So they let me go, and then I went to the capital. But in the capital was 14 hours flight directly to America. And I said, Lord, now we go in this flight, and I'm going to need your mercy and your grace and miracle to provide my air, because my lungs was under treatment. So then we got to the airplane, and I told the attendant, and I shared with her my situation. I said, do you have a document? And I said, yes, I have. I showed her. She said, yes, you're going to need oxygen. We have. And when you need, you press the button. We come and give you the cylinder, a small cylinder, and the mask, and you're going to use. The first 4 hours was okay, but then the airplane begins to go like, when I saw the number 32,000 feet, and I began to like feel it, the need of oxygen. And then I press the button, they come. After that, I use 4 times oxygen, like going up and then going down because the pressure changed. So I use 2 cylinders, and the airplane has only 2 cylinders. And I said, Lord, this is you. There is no way I give you the glory because you brought me home. So I got here. I went to the ER and did all the tests. Everything was normal. Only my lungs they detected the same thing, and they said, keep the treatment, and I keep that. And today I'm healed, completely healed. But it was like an experience of faith, trusting God's leadership, and moments you have to make decisions, but trusting the Lord. I faced that. So my faith was tested, and I asked the Lord for wisdom to make decisions, and He gave me, and He provided all I needed. So I just want to glorify Him in that and giving Him the glory, because He made it, He did it, and He brought me home in that circumstance of life. But not only that, in the moment had an encounter with the Lord, He commissioned me to go back to that nation and give 3 months of my life out there. And I said yes, because I trust Him.